Hello, I'm local democracy reporter Emma Draper, and I've been speaking to former Castletown politicians Richard Ronan, John Cringle, and Tony Brown about the pedestrianisation of Market Square. They believe the square needs to be reopened to vehicles during winter and are calling on residents to support the traders in the town.
Hi, I'm John Cringle. I'm a former commissioner and former chairman of Castletown Commissioners.
Hi, I'm Richard Ronan, again former commissioner, chairman of the commissioners and MHK.
Tony Brown, former commissioner and former MHK.
How disappointed are you about the DOI minister's decision to keep Market Square closed to vehicles?
Well, I received the letter on Saturday afternoon and was very disappointed. Yeah, on personal level, and I know the three of us are the same, but also very disappointed for the traders. They needed a lifeline. There was an option to give them a lifeline, but it didn't come. And I know I printed the letter out that I received from the minister, and I took it round all the businesses yesterday that had signed the requisition notice for the meeting. And some of them knew, some of them didn't. And it was quite disheartening having to give them the bad news. The residents really now need to come out and support the traders in Castletown. Yes, there is a difficulty with parking, probably a big problem with parking, but the only thing we can do now is to support the businesses we have in town in the hope that they can survive through the Christmas period and further into the winter.
Yeah, I can only agree with John there. I think what's important now is that the residents and people around the south and across the island, like they always have done over the years, to come and support the traders in Castletown, because we've got some wonderful places here. Make an effort, come and see what we've got down here. You know, you can spend the day, you can use the bars, the restaurants that we have here. But just touching on, the decision from Minister Hayward, I know she's only been in post for a very short period of time, and we were kind of a little bit hopeful that she would look at this independently and make a qualified, and we feel the right decision at this time to open the square again to the car parking, certainly for the Christmas period up until May. And then in that period, and in fairness, she said this in her correspondence, that she said that the commissioners haven't proven that there's a case for shutting, but then she went on to say that she was going to shut the square to give them time to come up. Well, it should be the other way around. One thing I'll say, I was a minister for a period of time, and it's a tough job, actually, being a minister, but it's also enriching. There's good points in that as well, and it's a very privileged position. And I will say that this decision regarding the square will be one of Minister Hayward's easiest decisions she'll ever have to make. And I'm really surprised and I'm disappointed in her that she hasn't done that.
It's worth making the point, following up from what's just been said. I mean, I was a retailer, family business of our own, which we set up for about 30 years, just under 30 years in Castletown. And I can tell you that from October through to December, up to Christmas Eve, this period is critical to the shops. And the reason it's so critical is their takings increase substantially, and it carries them through January, February, March till it starts to pick up again. Retailers are going to struggle because of this closure. There's lots of people say, what's all the fuss about? Well, it's about close car parking to the actual shopping centre. And the shops and the cafes and coffee houses in Castletown will struggle because of this decision. It would have been nothing of any damage to anybody. A third of the square would still be closed off for the children to enjoy Father Christmas and the Christmas tree. We've just got a massive area, in relative terms to Castletown, actually lying empty. I go up there every day. There's maybe one or two people in, and that's about it. And I think the point that's disappointing, as Richard said, is the minister had fresh eyes. She wasn't tied to anything. And never mind, protocols from or principles or whatever from the departments. The point is, a new minister is there for one thing, and that is when they first go in, they have the ability to say, yes, but, and I think this is how we should do it. But this was an easy one, as Richard said, in terms of what's the balance? And on the probabilities of balance, I think it would have been easy for us to say it won't do any harm to Castletown to reopen the square, but it will do harm to the shops and the cafes to keep it closed during this period. And that would have at least tied them through what is an important period for them. Retailing is tough, and it's always been tough. I can tell you that. We opened our business in 1981, and it was always tough. and it continues to be that way. And the commissioners used to always do as much as they could to help support and promote Castletown. And I would just say to people generally, please, if you can, come to Castletown, support our shops and our cafes and do what you can. And yes, the parking may not be as convenient as we would all hope, but at least, use what is there and just be a little bit understanding to help support the businesses, because they really will struggle if not getting support from the public.
So what will your next steps be?
I think the point is that, we've got to look at what we can do. Clearly the minister has made a decision and has given the impression she's not going to change it. She's given the inference that the commissioners can open the square. I made the point back to her, they will not open the square. They are absolutely adamant the square is to stay closed. Try and find out why is actually very difficult, because I don't know if they really know why, except it's a good idea. We have tried our best to avoid the situation we're in at the moment, and we've tried our best to, in fact, avoid a public meeting. We tried to sit down and talk to them. Now they're making statements, we want to work with everyone, we're happy to talk to everyone. Why now? It's too late. Just get the square open, for goodness sake. It literally would take minutes to open the square and allow cars to park back in there. It's short-term parking right near the shops. There's no better place. And on bad days, it's still pretty windy there, by the way. It's not perfect, but at least it's additional parking. And any reduction in parking spaces at the moment, it will impact adversely on the town. So anything that can be done, which this could be done, which will help the shops, the cafes and all to do better, anything at all will make a difference.
This is why you are a politician, is to make people's lives better, to help and facilitate business and go back to the regeneration works Tony started, I completed with help of others. It was designed with regeneration in mind. And I think this is the thing, not going over all ground because we've talked about this before, important to mention it. The square was designed with a public realm space. You still would have had one in this winter period to people to go and see Santa, see the tree and have a few drinks if you want to have them there. Still, that's how it was designed. It's becoming to a stage now where you speak to people. People have obviously heard about, what's going on, but everyone I speak to, it's empty. There's nobody there. And I think, come on, it's not rocket science, this. The message I think all three of us want to put out today is that we want people to come and support our traders now when they need it.
The commissioners have said in their press release that 140 people have signed to keep the square closed to vehicles. How do you feel about that?
We actually don't know, Emma, because at the public meeting, it was inferred there was a petition. I think it was 150 people, actually, they stated at the public meeting. However, that petition wasn't presented at the meeting, which I found quite bizarre, actually, because if that had been presented to Paul, Mr. Castaigne, who was the chairman, he would have then had to forward it to the commissioners and forward it to the minister, but that didn't happen. So we were sort of a bit, well, what happened here? When it came to the vote, the lady, inferring she had a petition, she abstained from voting and didn't oppose the motion. So it all got a bit confusing around that. And the next thing we find out is that Mr. Morehouse, the MHK, is taking the petition and doing something with us. And now, as we know, it turned up at the Department of Infrastructure. I don't know if the commissioners have had a copy, obviously so now. But okay, 140, 150 people. We presented a petition and letters to the DOI of over 330 people. So maybe my maths has gone a bit awry, but I still think we can trump that petition. You would say our petition carries weight and our objections carry weight.
I think it's also disingenuous of the commissioners to actually refer to only the petition where there was support and totally ignore that in fact there's a lot of people also who do not support it, which John has just mentioned. This thing, to be blunt, it's a mess and somebody needs to get to grips with it and sort it out. And we're only talking about a temporary sort out. Everybody here, the three of us, we agree that the summer the square should be closed off. The majority of people at Castletown believe that when what we class as the summer months, which is about May through to September, it should be closed off for the people to enjoy. This year, there was less attractions in the square for the children to enjoy and more places to get a drink. So, they need to find out and sort out what it is they want to do for our town. That's their job. It's not our job. We're just retired citizens now. But their job is actually to do something for the town. And to be blunt, the only thing they've done is close the square. Nothing is different this year than last year in terms of the winter. So why is it closed off? It makes no sense. And to be quite honest, a lot of people in Castletown and people who come to Castletown or used to come to Castletown are not happy with what's going on.
Following on from that, we know about these petitions. I'll be specific and factual. Our petition that was signed was supporting closure in the summer, against closure in the winter. So we were very specific. Now, the minister, in one of the correspondence she had, stated she was concerned about a poll the commissioners did where they used pedestrianisation versus car parking. And she said that was not the matter, because you can have both, but you have a compromise between the two. The petition of 140, 150 people, what did that actually ask people? Did it ask whether you were for pedestrianisation or for a car park? And I think what we have to do going forward is be very careful how we pose our questions. Because as Tony has just said, it's not about permanently open. It's not about permanently closed. It's about a compromise. Closure in the summer, which has worked, and we were all a bit sceptical about it, but closure in the winter does not work in any way, shape or form for the businesses in the town.
We've been talking about the way the commissioners are doing their business. I think it is getting a concern, and it's a modern way of communication via social media, and their chosen platform seems to be Facebook. Facebook's there to have a chat, isn't it? You know, with your friends and with your businesses, and that's how it's designed. But the commissioners seem, certainly of late, to make it a bit of a one-way street where you can't comment back. It's feels like a little bit of propaganda, to be honest with you. You know, and some of the stuff they're saying, they're obviously happy with the minister's decision, but some of the things they're saying are a complete contradiction of what actually they're doing. It's about consultation. And, you know, there's no consultation. There's very, very little consultation happening between what matters right now is the people and the businesses and the commissioners. It's turning into a bit of a fiefdom in there. You know, it's hard to access. It's hard to talk to them. You know, this is when you're a politician, and all three of us have been politicians. You've got to be outward facing. You've got to be there for people and businesses and the community.
Do you think you're fighting a losing battle?
Winning and losing, I don't think is what we're after here. We're after solutions that work for Castletown. We didn't get involved in this to win anything. We came into this because we didn't see any common sense happening. And what we've seen, we didn't recognise as proper politics. Proper politics, we've just been saying, is about consultation. It's about engagement. We've not seen any of that. So are we fighting a losing battle? No, we want what's right for Castletown.
Thank you for making it to the end of the Manx Radio Newscast. You are obviously someone with exquisite taste. May I politely suggest you might want to subscribe to this and a wide range of Manx Radio podcasts at your favourite podcast provider, so our best bits will magically appear on your smartphone. Thank you.